lovely venue on a Monday. Who does this on a Monday? It feels very strange to be in such a cool spot. I'm usually working from home, looking at a spreadsheet, not in this really cool spot with you lovely faces looking at me. So thank you for joining us on a Monday to hear about our fund today. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping from CULTVR, our friends just over there who are driving this dome I'm not used to being in front of, so forgive me if I get used to being surrounded by this beautiful thing. So could you just play the housekeeping immersive experience, please? We are recording this, just so you know. I can't actually see what it's saying. If you don't want to be photographed, then please let us know. And there are no planned fire alarms, but should you want to find the emergency exit, check it out. There's one over there, and there's one over there, and there's a little person running towards them there, so please make sure you're familiar with where they are. And if you need the toilet, just over here to the right. How cool is this? And if you want to speak to the technical team, they're just over there, to my left. So thank you, I think that's everything housekeeping-wise, is that right, CULTVR? Brilliant, okay. Thank you, now we're just moving on to a slideshow, so there's going to be quite a lot of information for you to find out about the fund first, so you've got as much information as you can have at the beginning, then you'll get the more exciting stuff from CULTVR and team after that. So forgive me if it's a little bit dry at the beginning, but we want to make sure you've got all the information that you need. So firstly, welcome, Closo. We are going to introduce you to Media Cymru, and then we're going to talk about the fund itself. Then the CULTVR team, Yanni, is going to do an overview of the facility and give a quick tour. And then after that, there'll be a Q&A session and networking, and we hope you really will network and hopefully engage with all sorts of creatives and technologists while you're here. Even if you don't go for the fund, you end up experiencing this venue and you meet new people. We're all about building capacity and collaboration in the area, so just enjoy being in this space together. There'll be some drinks and snacks later on, and then we'll finish by 4 p.m. Okay? Wow, this is amazing. Look, it's almost like R2-D2, you know what I mean? With the head of R2-D2. It's incredible. So, who is Media Cymru? Most of you have probably heard of us. There are a lot of familiar faces here, but just in case, we are a driving force for sustainable and inclusive economic growth in the Welsh media sector. Our aim is to make Wales a global hub for media innovation, where research and development is embedded into a thriving media sector in Wales and beyond. Here are some examples of our consortium partners that we collaborate with. And we've got all sorts of projects and activity going on across Wales, and so you get an idea of the kind of people that we partner with here. And within this program and consortium and partnerships, we also have the innovation pipeline, which is where we have a significant amount of calls, which are targeted, funding rounds and training opportunities to increase sector capacity, to carry out meaningful research, development and innovation from early stage development through to scale-up activity, resulting in more ideas, diversity and growth in the industry. So basically it's just trying out new things, thinking about new ideas and doing things in new ways, and we hope to support that as much as we can through R&D. An example of the kind of amounts we funded so far, 19 funding calls so far, total of 28 million in grant requests, and resulted in 4.3 million awarded to 138 companies in Wales. So we're probably talking about, if you apply to us for funding, a likelihood of roughly 1 in 5, 1 in 6 or 7 likelihood of getting funded, if that gives you a bit of a steer. But we have received 757 applications. It is a competitive fund, as you will imagine, so it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to receive funding should you apply. And just to get an idea of R&D as well, when I first took this job a few years ago, I didn't know what it meant in the creative sector. But basically, with R&D, we are looking for novel things, new ideas, something new to the industry or new to your organisation. We're looking for something that's creative, so you're going to try things out and create new things and deliver something new. But you may need to change your mind during the whole part of this stage, and that's what creators are very good at, is flexibility and being dynamic. We like the uncertainty, needing to research to discover if it will meet the user needs and achieve something like a challenge you've identified. We need it to be systematic. As you all know, with funding, you need to be able to go through a kind of process which is reportable and shows that you are managing the project appropriately. And we want it to be transferable. So even if your idea ends up being thrown out at the end of it because the R&D has found out that it's not what you're looking for, you'll be able to use the framework and the process you've been using to take another idea forwards in the future. And whilst we're doing the funding and discussion, we have support as well as money. We're actually lucky enough to have Robin Moore with us here today from Shwsh, who's an innovation specialist. And I'm just going to quickly show a slide of some of the things that he can provide. There we go.
That's a very unexciting slide. What's more exciting is, so we offer support alongside Media Cymru, primarily in the kind of area of small business development, innovation kind of process, but primarily what most people want is basically tech support. Now that can become at different parts. It can be literally, you just talk to me now, or find my contacts through Media Cymru if you can't find me on LinkedIn. If you just got an idea and you want to go, is this actually even feasible within the money kind of thing? I won't necessarily do the work for you, but I can even talk to you before you pitched. I'm not involved in that, in the actual scoring or anything like that, so it's all neutral. But then if you do get funded, we have both support, so I can put some of my time into helping you find the right people to do some of the technical elements, or do some of them myself. And we also have kit that's on offer. This is just a little grab of a whole long list of kits, but this is the sort of stuff, if you're wanting to do something that's more based on capturing reality, but projecting to a space like this, or on headsets upstairs, that's some of the kind of more 3D VR related kit. We also have kit for helping you do R&D, like helping you record interviews, that kind of thing. And there's some sensor tracking kit as well. So if, for instance, you wanted to have physical objects in this space that you wanted to track so that you could people could interact with those and then affect what they could see in the experience, we have kit, a number of different ways of tracking those sorts of things, which tends to help with immersive experiences. But I wish you all the best luck, and I really hope that you push the boundaries and come up with something that really uses the excellent facilities they got here to create something that's really emotional and engaging. Don't just see it as a big screen or a big 360 screen, but actually get in there and get the audience thinking in a new way.
Thanks, Robin. And in addition to Robin and Shwsh, we've also got expertise from PDR, who are based out of Cardiff Met University. They provide user-centered design expertise, and you are welcome to use their services as part of this, and they will guide you through a whole process which you can use for your R&D ideas in the future. And there's also the Alacrity Foundation, who are commercialization experts, and they'll be able to have a discussion with you about commercial strategy and opportunities. So, the Immersive Challenge Fund is focused on immersive innovation to support experimentation, discovery, and capacity building. It offers the opportunity for bold experimentation with immersive technologies, supporting the development of new content for public presentation and future commissioning opportunities. The fund will utilise CULTVR's infrastructure and expertise to develop high-quality immersive outputs. CULTVR's lab is Europe's first immersive cross-disciplinary space, offering 360-degree dome environments, extended reality performance infrastructure, and an established ecosystem for research and development across artistic and scientific disciplines. Funded projects will have access to CULTVR's facilities with technical support for 2 full days over their funded period. Remote support will also be included. And moving on to the scope, we are particularly interested in projects that explore the relationship between storytelling, technology, and audience. Funded projects will use immersive approaches to explore new creative and commercial possibilities, from concept development and sustainable business models to identifying the most effective mediums and technologies for creating shared immersive experiences. Funded projects might take many forms and draw on different tools and technologies, such as full dome, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, projection mapping, haptics, interactive design, data visualizations, generative AI, or spatial soundscapes. We welcome other approaches that push the boundaries of shared immersive experiences. So even if they're not mentioned there, do let us know what you're thinking if it's not already on that page. And what do we mean by shared immersive experiences? It's where multiple people take part in the same immersive environment simultaneously, and this might be physically, but it could also be virtually or both, and their presence or interaction may shape the experience itself, but it is the idea of shared and togetherness. And I believe this is now over to James. This is our funding manager for Media Cymru, James, who's going to take us through a bit more of the detail.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Atkinson. I'm the fund manager at Media Cymru. So I just want to take you through some of the practicalities of this fund and some of the detail that you'll need around applying, how you can apply, the questions that you'll go through, and so forth. So as you can see on the slide there, these are all going to be the 3 successful projects that we pick will be R&D projects, and they'll take place between April and July next year. So roughly from the middle of April to the middle of July. And what we're looking to do is fund 3 projects up to 15,000 each. So we invite everyone to apply up to that amount. We hope that we can fund people up to broadly that amount, but it'll depend on what you've put in your application in terms of the budget that you need and the explanation that you give in terms of what you're going to do with the money and what you're going to do with the R&D and the time that you have. So the fund's already opened, and the deadline for it is the 20th of January, 12 noon. We can't accept applications after that point. And the last point on this slide, I will go through the guidance and the application in a moment, but I think it's the most important thing to stress, and it's an obvious point to busy people who've applied to lots of funds before, but please read the guidance and read all the questions in the application form and look at it before you apply, basically, because 12 noon will come around before you know it on the 20th of January. And when you go to submit your application, you also have to do a survey as well, so you'll probably be rushed when you're doing it. I'll explain what those surveys are in a moment. The more strongly that you engage with the assessment criteria and the questions, the better chance you've got of being funded. As Greg was saying, it is a competitive process, and ultimately your applications are going to be assessed by a panel from Media Cymru, from CULTVR and from PDR as well, and you'll be competing with other people. So as strongly as you can possibly engage with the criteria, with the questions, to give yourself the best chance. It really is important that you read through all, and I'll show you where it all is in a moment. In terms of eligibility, you may have had a chance to look at this already, so I'll just go through each of the points so it's clear, but we'll be around afterwards to answer any questions that you've got on this. Likewise, after the event, if you've got any questions, media.cymru@cardiff.ac.uk, we can always pick up questions, anything around eligibility or anything else then as well. So your company or practice has to be based in Wales. You need a clearly articulated R&D idea. You're in the Welsh media industry, or your idea directly benefits the Welsh media industry. You can dedicate time to an R&D project between April and July. And then last point's important. So we'll only accept and fund 1 application per company or organisation as a project lead. So you could be involved in more than 1 application, more than 1 project, but you can only submit 1 application as a project lead. And then it mentions the website, which I'll come on to in a moment. So key dates, we've already talked about the deadline, the 20th of January. We hope then to notify you by the 20th of February, and then the date that we have at the moment for the project to start is the 15th of April. It may be that we could do it slightly before then, depending on the projects that we've got, or they may start a day or 2 afterwards, but broadly, these are the timelines that we work to, and it takes a while after we've notified projects that are successful in order to get them set up and contracted so that you're actually ready to start then in April. The other thing to mention with these projects is that we hope to, the 3 successful projects will be part of a cohort, and CULTVR will talk more about the support that they'll provide you with throughout those projects. But we want to have the projects going through the R&D together, So the point with that being that at the start of the project, you'll all come together, the midpoint, the end point, and you'll also be supported by Media Cymru with that as well. And we like to bring you together and make sure that you're supported in terms of your deliverables and your milestones, and actually work with you in shaping the R&D projects. And then two things to point out. When you go and apply, if you've applied for a Media Cymru fund before, you'll be familiar with this. We've got the baseline survey. So this gives us really critical information about the sector in the Cardiff Capital Region and Wales. So for all projects that we fund, we ask you to complete this survey. It tells us a bit about your company, if you're working for a company, or a bit about your practice if you're a freelancer. And we're looking at your attitude to innovation, the size of your company, how much R&D you've done, all sorts of different things. And it supports our research that we're collecting in this area, because what we're trying to do is build up a picture of all R&D in the CCR, and also we're tracking projects from the beginning of their projects to the end. So it's a really important survey for us. Likewise, the diversity monitoring survey, both of them are anonymous, I should say, and it really helps us understand applicants and accumulate more information around diversity as well, and support our work in this area. On that point, I should also add, I'll show you in a moment when I show you the guidance, but for the first time, we're also asking applicants to comply with or demonstrate how you're complying with 2 of the 5 BFI diversity standards. So you will see in the guidance that there's further information around this and how you can comply with that, but it's a really important part of the application process. It will be assessed together with the other questions in the application process. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you're rushing at the end to do your application, it may be that people do that last or quickly, and I would just say avoid that and engage with it as strongly as you can, because this is a key part of the application process and we're really looking for people to engage with that. And I'll show you where all of that can be found in a second. So I'm just going to go to the website a moment if this comes up. So what you're looking at here is the web page, which you may have already seen, which is just where you'll find our fund. So if you go to the Media Cymru website and you go to opportunities, you'll see this Immersive Challenge Fund. So at the as you scroll down the page, what you'll see is some of the information I've already been through and Greg's already been through, the overview, the scope, the key dates and so forth, eligibility, what R&D is, and in our guidance document, which I'll show you, there's quite extensive guidance around what is research and development. Really worth reading that and thinking about your project and what your understanding of research and development is before you complete the application form. And likewise, our approach to this immersive fund as well. We've got specific guidance around that, some of which Greg also ran through. So at the bottom, you see 2 things. You see apply and also guidance document. So if you click on the guidance document, that will take you to this document here. And if I just go back to the top of this a sec, bear with me. In this guidance, it's really extensive. It covers all of these areas. Everything's listed here. So eligibility, key dates, all the stuff that we've talked about. Under subsidy control, I've not mentioned this yet. So this opportunity is offered under MFA, Minimum Financial Assistance. So if you've got any questions at all around that, come and have a chat with me afterwards or get in touch with us via our inbox. And it's good to be clear on that before applying. And then also, right at the bottom, we've got assessment criteria and application questions. So if you go down to the bottom, what you will see is this assessment criteria. This is the criteria that our assessment panel that I mentioned will use. So they will look at this when they are assessing all the applications. And the key areas are your R&D idea, so explaining what is the actual idea that you've got, what are you going to do over the 3 months of your project, what R&D activities specifically you plan to undertake. So as it says here, and as Greg was saying in the slide on R&D, and as it says in our guidance, we don't always expect you to know all the answers to begin with, but what we do want is a schedule of planned activity and what it is that you plan to explore. So if you look at the last paragraph there, so this is your opportunity to outline the areas that you would like to explore as part of this project and then be realistic in terms of what it is that you can achieve. So what we're also looking for here then is your proposed timeline and your budget. So at this stage it's an indicative budget, and really it's an indicative timeline to an extent because things can go and change, but we want you to provide as much detail as you can and to have thought about it as much as possible at the application stage. And then what you'll also have is impact in terms of economic impact. So really key for us, Media Cymru is an economic growth programme, so addressing that is a really important element, as is the environmental impact, this being green, one of our key 4 pillars, along with global and growth as well. And then the diversity standards. So I've mentioned these. What we're asking you to do is comply with 2 of the 5 that you can see listed there. So on-screen representation, themes and narratives, creative leadership and project team, industry access and opportunities, audience development and accessibility. So you've only got to comply with 2 of the 5 and provide some evidence of that. You can provide evidence against more than 2 if you want, but there is some really helpful guidance that our colleague Jess has provided around this in terms of what your response could include. So again, please read all of that just before you get to the BFI section. Get in touch with us if you need any help with this or anything else. And then application questions. So when I was on the web page, you'll see the green button that said apply. If you click apply, that takes you to the application form. You do the surveys, and then you start filling out the questions. These are the questions. So you've got them in the guidance before you actually go and complete the application. So I'll just quickly go through these and then hand over to Yannick CULTVR. So basic ones to start with: project title, a short description of your project, just 50 words for comms purposes, and then the key questions around R&D. So please introduce yourself, your company, organisation, and the work that you currently undertake. So we're looking for you to give us a good flavour of what you're currently doing there. Please write a summary of the experience you'd like to develop for this R&D project. Again, the focus is on R&D. You've got 300 words of that. Please tell us about any work you've undertaken to assess the feasibility of your idea that you'd like to develop. 300 words there as well. And then please tell us about the R&D activities you would like to undertake during this project and how you'll support the development of an immersive project. So as you're going through each of these questions, I would always keep in your mind that assessment panel and the application criteria they're working to, and keep R&D in your head. And are you answering these questions as concisely as possible, and are you actually thinking and presenting information about the R&D that you're going to do? Proposed duration of your project. So there's a drop-down menu. You'll answer will always be 3 months in this instance to that. And then please demonstrate how your R&D project activities are achievable in the time frame that you've proposed. So what we're looking for there is a timescale and some deliverables. So once you start your project, these things we will talk to you about more, and you will talk to Media Cymru and my colleague Rachel and our producers and CULTVR and PDR. But at this stage, we do want a plan to begin with. What's the estimated budget for your R&D phase? And again, we want an indication of the type of costs that you think, from what you know so far, you are likely to incur during your project. And then please explain how it will have a positive economic impact, and you've seen further up the guidance around that. Same for the environmental impact question, and then you've got the BFI diversity standards question then to finish with. So I'll pass over to Yanni next, is that right, Greg? And then I'm happy to answer any questions about the process at the end. Thank you.
All right, please. Please. So, hi guys. I think I can see a lot of colleagues in the audience, so probably you know everything about CULTVR already. But for those of you that might be your first time here, you don't know much about us. We are CULTVR. We've been here since 2019, and the main intention of opening this facility is always been to encourage performers, researchers, academics, interactive developers, animators, media professionals to come and research, do R&D, prototype and present to audiences immersive experiences that can be shared with people So that's been our main goal. As you can see, we have two main areas in the lab. So we have what we call the theatre dome, that is where we are today. And then in the other side, we have what we call the lab, that is a more versatile space where we can do lots of different activations and projects. Since we opened our doors, we have supported 100 digital and visual artists, 500 musicians, 200 dance and theatre practitioners, and we had more than 2,000 university, college, and community groups. Students coming here and learning about immersive tech and things like that. So far we have 35 artists and academics in residence, which is impressive. We supported 25 R&D projects, so we can't wait to have 3 more, and 30 XR projects. We presented at least 150 music live performances. So one of the big drives of the lab is how the theatre of the future looks like, and that's what we've been R&Ding for many years now, and how its live performance and XR can be combined. We had more than 500 film screenings, all immersive obviously, 25 dance and theatre shows, and we ran more than 100 workshops. Some of the guys in the audience have done some of these workshops in immersive audio, live visuals for the dome, real-time stuff. So yeah, this is very exciting for us to be part of, and we can't wait to see what projects you bring to the table. So yeah, this is giving you a tour about the space. Obviously, we can do that in person. Lauren, my colleague, will explain you a little bit more of what we can do in the lab and what kind of equipment we have and all of that. And maybe play the next slide, please. So if we break down into kind of disciplines, so immersive cinema, theatre, live music, R&D, dance and contemporary dance, and visual arts are the main key strands. But saying that, we have done and tried and tested lots of different projects, so we can't wait to see what you guys propose and see how we can support you. So if we go back to this PowerPoint, so the ways that we can support your projects, basically the selected projects will have access to 2 days of having full access to the facilities, and that involves our technical team. So that will be what you can allocate to try and test. We can work with you to see if we do that before, during the project, if you want 2 consecutive days, or 1 day here and then some time passes and then the next day. So that's the time you will have access to all the resources. And then obviously we will support you remotely as much as we can. We specialize in immersive live performances and immersive films. We are 9 people in the team, and we all have different skills and expertise. We have been doing immersive experiences for over 15 years, so hopefully we can help some of you, and if not, we can get expertise from Robin and the Media Cambridge network, in case, obviously, with many things that we might not know about, and we will try to find, through PDR or Alacrity, ways to support your projects. And then there will be an opportunity to present the results of the projects here, so we still don't know how that will look like, depends on the ideas, it might require different, we don't know. If we will do the 3 projects together, or it will have to be 1 project at a time, depending on the needs of that. So we will try to facilitate that as much as possible. We are quite open-minded, we are independent, so we are quite used to have to act very fast, and we can't wait really to be involved and work with you guys. So